Good morning, everybody. It is currently Saturday, October 11th, 2014. Meteorologist Robert Spetta joining you here today. What you are looking at is actually some video shot back on Friday by videographer James Reynolds of some of these rough waves already battering the coastline from Typhoon Vongfong. It continues to race off here towards the northwest. And you can see here on the latest radar imagery, as of 8:30 a.m. Japan Standard Time, the eye still well towards the southeast of Okinawa. These outer rain bands and that outer eye wall already starting to impact the island. We've already been seeing winds gusting as high as 160 kilometers per hour. The max forecast actually at this time from the Japan Meteorological Agency, they're expecting it to peak around 234 kilometers per hour. That is enough to cause some significant damage and also cause some injuries out here. And as of this time, we've actually seen 13 reports of injuries reported by NHK broadcaster here. Most of them because people were outside. All the ones I've seen that included the details of the injury. So you definitely want to stay inside now, hunker down, and just brace for the storm system. And unfortunately, this is not a fast-moving storm. We can pull up the latest warning from the Japan Meteorological Agency, and you can see here it's only moving north at 8 knots or 15 kilometers per hour, just at a snail's pace. We've also been seeing some fairly strong winds along the northern periphery of this because of a very high pressure gradient extending off there towards the north. So the winds have really just been persistent throughout the day on Friday. I know those of you in the military, you went to your T-Core 1 condition Friday afternoon, really nearly 24 hours before the storm system was expected to make landfall. Typhoon warnings are in place for Okinawa. Actually, evacuations have been issued for some areas out here, including parts of Naha. About 300 people have evacuated from their homes and moved to shelters as well, right near the immediate coastlines. So what we're seeing is just these winds. Now, the good news is that Okinawa is definitely built for these type of winds, over 200 kilometers per hour. Unfortunately, when people get complacent, that's when we start to see these injuries here. So you want to stay inside and hunker down. The rain is also going to be an issue. We could take a look at the overall rainfall forecast, or at least the accumulation as we look ahead, and I'll go ahead and put this up here on your screen. Remember, I'm doing this all live. I should actually explain this. Going through this update live here today. This is going to be running persistently throughout most of the day. We might shut it off, turn it back on with a new YouTube link. They only let us run it for a few hours at a time. So just deal with us, contend with us. This isn't going to be a very organized. I'm going to have people coming in and out on Google Hangouts. And really what we're going to be doing is try to keep you updated. I've been posting stuff to the Facebook page actually throughout the day, but that's just it seems like that's redundant, and I'm flooding people's Facebook page. Probably don't want to be flooded, so we're gonna be having this here all day. I'll be turning it off probably for some times too. Maybe just put a please stand by on this when we're trying to organize more information. And don't forget, we have other people coming in later on this afternoon. Storm is expected to peak in about 12 hours from now. So a lot of time to still watch this. Let's get back to your accumulation forecast. Rain is also going to be an issue here. Actually, some areas, especially along southern Okinawa, could see as much as 300 to 400 millimeters. You actually can see here darker areas. This is indicating in inches, 12 to 15 inches per the ECMWF model. So some very, very heavy rainfall. The other thing we've actually seen with the track as well today, and I want to show this to you, is the fact that it has moved farther here towards the west, and that puts it right over southern Okinawa. Basically, worst case scenario taking place here. We're going to be seeing it move right over the city, that inner eye wall pushing over Naha. We can pull this up on Google Maps, and I'll show you exactly the area we're talking about here as we pull this up. So you have the whole island of Okinawa. Now, most of you that are probably watching this update that are on Okinawa are down here towards the south in the heavily populated areas. The forecast about 2 days ago was supposed to take it off here towards the north, and that would have put you on the less intense western periphery. It's a little bit drier as well, but with the storm now pushing right over the island, or basically probably just off the southern coast of the island, that puts you right in that inner eye wall and also in the right front quadrant, which is the dangerous part of the storm, at least the most dangerous dangerous part. Don't get me wrong, the dangerous winds extend well away from the center, but we're talking about that inner core, that inner eye wall. Zoom in on this, and then we can take a look at the storm surge threats. And remember, the right front quadrant, that's where you could be seeing that threat of storm surge in some of these low-lying coastal beaches up in here in Okinawa City. Down here towards the south, a lot of this is cliffs. So good news there. If you see a storm surge, it's not going to be going up into people's homes, hopefully. But farther towards the north, that's when I think the bigger threat is going to be here as far as surge. And also the winds are going to be wrapping around the western periphery after this passes by. So coastal areas here in Naha still could be seeing those westerly winds come in as our storm system pushes right overhead. Go back here to our Meteo Earth app, zoom in, and you can see this is a track from JTWC. I think they're actually leaning it farther towards the west as well, but just zoom right ahead here with our wind forecast, and you can see what I'm talking about, those streamlines coming in from the east, and after our storm system pushes by, they start to come in from the west. So, guys, if you have any questions or comments, put them down there in the comment box. One thing with these live updates, what I try to do at the very least, especially since at this time it's still early in the morning and waiting for everybody else to come in, I'm basically talking to myself. So let's get some interaction going. If you have any questions, comments, post them down there in the box below. We're going to be turning this on and off, trying to get more information as well, and I'll just try to answer your questions as they come through. As far as updates this time, I know that for those of you in the military, you're in T-Core 1 emergency. Basically, what that means in short is that you're got to stay indoors. You're seeing 50 knot plus sustained winds, storm warnings, high wave warnings, storm surge warnings, and thunderstorm advisories all in effect across Okinawa. I'm just scrolling through here, looking at the warnings. I know a lot of you are in Ginawan. You are seeing all of those warnings in place from the Japan Meteorological Agency. This is something I also want to explain. You may be getting emergency warnings on your phone. The translation for that, if you see that, might say evacuate. Sometimes that can be loosely interpreted. What most likely, if you get those emergency warnings on your phone that are displaying some of this in Japanese and you translate it, it probably means take shelter immediately, vice evacuate, especially if you're in an inland area. Okinawa, there's not really many places to evacuate outside of going to a shelter anyway. So the key thing is if you get these, don't worry too much about it. Just stay indoors and wait for the storm system to pass, which probably isn't going to be happening until basically as we look ahead into Sunday evening and Monday morning. So there's still a lot of time here, guys, to cover the storm system, and there's still a lot of time to talk about it. So once again, if you have any questions, let us know. I'm going to be stepping off for just a second. Be back in a minute. All right, stay safe, guys. Just 1 second. All right, guys. So what you're looking at here is some video actually shot on Friday from videographer James Reynolds, just showing you some of these large waves ahead of the storm system Typhoon Vongfong, already causing numerous power outages across the island of Okinawa. 13 injuries have been reported at this time. Thanks for tuning in, though. If you are watching, this is our live broadcast. We're basically going to have this on throughout the rest of the day, maybe even to the overnight hours, turning it on and off, like that video just showed you. We might be just looping some of those in these intermission and little break areas. Right now, though, I just started this update a few minutes ago, probably about 20 minutes ago. And this is just the start of it, just myself. But we do have some other meteorologists coming in later on today, trying to work up some people getting on here from Okinawa, and we're going to do some interviews on here as well. So if you want to join in on this Google Hangout, just let us know. Post down there in the comment box or send us a direct message on our Facebook page at Western Pacific Weather, and we will get in touch with you and maybe share out our link so we can just do an interview back and forth with you if you are out there in Okinawa. Let's first talk about the storm system right now. Where exactly is it? Well, taking a look at the radar imagery, what we have here is it just towards the southeast of the main island of Okinawa, and you can see those heavier rain bands. Let's zoom right in on this. The eye wall just down towards the southeast, heavy rain bands already pushing across the island. Thus far, we've actually seen upwards of winds at 45 meters per second. So we're talking about kilometers per hour. That's about 150 to 160 kilometers per hour. Wind gusts being seen, also heavy rainfall. As you were looking at just a moment ago, we actually had our live stream coming up from Okinawa there. This is via T-10 Media. We did talk with them, had an agreement that we could use their video footage for our live stream. So you may see it in two different spots, but definitely they are there on Okinawa, right near one of the beaches, and they are just showing what it looks like, at least on the ground. Take a look at satellite imagery. We have our satellite, or our eye, continuing to remain apparent, actually, but it is starting to fill. And what that means is we are seeing a weakening in the storm system. So good news there, it is weakening. But bad news, it's still intense. And actually, the Japan Meteorological Agency official intensity on this is still at very strong. And that's what I mean here. It literally, the intensity is called a very strong typhoon. Pressure at 930 HPA, winds gusting at 95, gusting to, or excuse me, 95 knots, sustained gusting to 135 knots. Still moving off here towards the northwest, or north now, at a snail's pace of 6 knots. It's just crawling here. The center line takes it right over Okinawa Hanto, putting that inner eye wall right over top of you, that if you are out here on Okinawa. I know it's already been windy for an extended period of time now. We were just talking about this in a moment ago. It's mainly due to this high pressure gradient we have been seeing off towards the north ahead of this storm system, associated with a high pressure over Japan. It's actually bringing some decent weather across Japan and the Korean Peninsula, but that creates this high pressure gradient. And that's why throughout the day on Friday, you've been seeing the high winds. I know those of you in the military, you already went to T-Core 1 on Friday. It's just due to that wind. And the thing is, you may think, okay, yeah, I've been through many typhoons, and this can only possibly get better anytime soon. Unfortunately, we are looking at the peak in about 12 hours, around 8 p.m. Japan